All right, I'd like to do a little equipping here. We want to equip the character, the main character, this Ethan character, with the gun. All right, so that's the objective. We want to equip the guy with the gun. Notice that the gun is pointing in the positive Z direction, okay, and that the outside of the gun is the red, and then the vertical gun, all right, is up green. All right, so that's really important because what we need to do in order to equip him is we need to find his hand transform. So that means that we go down the tree, and so if you press Alt, I believe, or Control, I don't remember which one it is. Is it Control? It's Alt. It's Alt. Yeah, Alt. Alt, and then the arrow drops everything down. So we need to see the full skeleton here. So Ethan's skeleton. If we come all the way down here to Ethan hand, so Ethan right hand is right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse everything underneath that so that it's easier to kind of see what's going on. So this is the Ethan right hand right here. Notice the arrows. So green is pointing down towards the floor, blue is backwards, and then red is pointing towards his hip. So what would happen if we took our gun which is aligned to these rotation marks, if we put the gun on his hand straight away, what would happen is this. Look at that. The gun's just in a terrible spot. So now I can change the orientation of the gun. So I can go through here and I can start rotating the gun and everything to make it look right. But I don't want to change the rotation of the gun. The gun's fine. The gun's pointing in the right direction. It's the hand node that's not pointing in the right direction. We want to fix the hand node so that we don't have to fix every gun. So let's go ahead and delete the rifle variant there. So what we want to do is create a new empty game object as a child of Ethan's right hand, and we'll call this weapon right. Okay, and then we're going to put the rifle into the hand. Okay, so from here, what we want to do, so don't click on the rifle, we want to click on weapon right. What we can do here now is we can play with the rotation of the gun, okay, a little bit to try to get it into the right spot. And we can play with the translation of the gun and try to get it into his hand. All right, so that's kind of step one. If we can get the weapon into his hand, that's step one. Okay. Now I have an active script here. Let me go ahead and deactivate it. This equip script. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and press play here. And so this is where it's important. All right, so we see here, okay, this is not a great animation because the right hand is inside of his gut anyway. But you can see here that the gun doesn't have the right position or rotation. So what we want to do is start to try to get that organized. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get him to point at me. All right, so you see how the gun is clear real far away from his hand. All right, so its rotation is wrong. So we're going to click on weapon right, get our rotation bubble out, gizmo, and we're just going to rotate the gun out until it's in his hand. Okay, so I'm going to change my character's position here a little bit. All right, so we can see now that the gun is way above his hand. So there's a couple things we can do here. The first one I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of drop it down vertically. All right, and let's see how that looks just in terms of how this gun sits in his hand. All right, so it looks like, whoops. There we go. It looks like we're way low in the back. All right, you see how it looks like his hand's way low? So I'm just going to adjust that up a little bit so that it looks like his hand could be closer to that trigger. All right, and that means the barrel of the gun is too high. It needs to drop down. So we're going to get our rotation widget out here, and we're going to rotate it down into his palm, like that. So the gun's pointed down, basically, is what's happening here. So this is pretty good. And if we look at the character now here on the bottom screen down here, we see that he's pointing in the right direction. The gun's generally pointing in the right direction. Of course, if we pull the trigger, it's going to shoot at the ground because of its orientation. So that's a problem, but it's a problem we can deal with later. For right now, this is pretty good, um, pretty good starting point.